In this class, we shall be learning how to checkmate the opponent king with a queen. So basically, this class will be divided into two sections. In the first part, we shall be learning how to checkmate the king, how to checkmate the opponent king if the king is alone without any other piece remaining. And in the second part, we shall be learning how to checkmate the opponent king with the help of other chessmen or with the help of other pieces. Now, this is a very important lesson for two reasons. One of them is, very often in chess, we capture our opponent's queen. Okay, our opponent misses and we capture our opponent's queen, and we are very close to winning because queen, being a queen up, is a big advantage for us. But after winning the queen, we should know properly how to checkmate the opponent. Right? And another reason why this position is so important, or this situation is so important, is that if we are unable to checkmate the king in 50 moves, okay, for 50 moves, suppose there is no exchange of pieces, no exchange of pawns or pieces in a chessboard, and there is no pawn movement. In that case, the game will be declared a draw under 50 move rule. So 50 move rule says that from any situation, if there is no pawn move for 50 consecutive moves, or if there is no exchanges or some capture for 50 moves, then the game will be drawn. So let's say we have this position and we are white, we are having an extra queen, queen king against one king, and for 50 moves we are unable to exchange something. Of course, there will be no exchange here and nothing available to capture or exchange. Okay, and there is no pawn move, there is no pawn here. The game will be drawn. So we have to be careful and we have to learn how to checkmate the king before it is 50 moves. Okay, from this point, moves will be counted from the last pawn move or last capture. Now, from here, the best way to win is actually quite simple but very instructive. The first logic is that the king, which is to be checkmated, has to be pushed towards the edge of the board or corner of the board. Why? Because it is, if it is in the center, it has 8 possible squares to escape. It can escape here, here, on all directions. And it's very difficult to checkmate the king if it is in the center of the board or if it is not on the edge of the board. Now, if we push this king to the corner, it will have only 3 squares to escape. So it's easier for us to trap the king. Now let's see how to gradually drag the king towards the edge or the corner. The best move for white is, well, before dragging the king to the corner, let's decide which edge is the closest. So for us, this is the closest corner or edge. And maybe we can push the king towards this corner or this corner. So let's decide that, okay, the king would be pushed to this corner. So what is the best move? The best move in that case would be to play here, so that, well, this king cannot cross the boundary. I mean, this red lines are basically the file and rank controlled by the queen. Now, if the king tries to cross this, it's a check. It's not legally possible for the king to step on any of the squares along this line. It cannot come here because of check. And okay, let me put this arrow in red. Okay, so the king cannot step into this square, the king cannot cross this rank also. So it means the black king is restricted to only this much space. It cannot cross here, it cannot go to the other side. So it has to remain on this square. Now the white king comes closer to the king because we are shortening the prison. The king is imprisoned. It has to stay within this only. Now suppose the king goes here and we make the prison even shorter. Now gradually the king is getting dragged to the corner. If the king tries to escape, we'll say, no, this is a check. You are not permitted to move into any of these squares. Now let's say the king doesn't go to this side, but it remains here. Then we go queen c6, so that the king is restricted to only these two lines and it can't even come here. Now black decides to go here. We come closer to shorten the prison or the area where black will remain. The king goes here and white comes here. The king goes here and white comes here. See, every time white's queen is moving close to the king is unable to move away. So the place where it has to stay is getting shorter and shorter. Now even this square is covered. Now the king can't step into this, it can't step into these squares. The king has to come here. Now remember one thing, we bring the queen close to the king, but not so close that the king can capture the queen, right? So we have to stay at a distance, at a respectful distance. The king cannot capture the queen, but the queen is taking away all the squares from the king, and the king is pushed to the corner. And now we have to be very careful. If we overdo the exercise, if we go this close, now suddenly black will say, I have no square to go and there is no check. I don't have a legal move left. I don't have any other piece. I have only the king and I can't move the king. So what is it? It's a stalemate. It's a draw. We have to be careful. We are playing for a win. So what do? We have to leave one square at least for the king to move. King can't come here because of queen check. So king has to remain on the corner. So here we are leaving one square for the king. But how do we checkmate? If we play check, the king will escape. So let's not allow the king to escape. So how to checkmate the king? In order to checkmate the king, we need to bring our king close to the opponent king. Now this is a very important lesson, that a lone queen on its own cannot checkmate opponent king. Okay, the queen or whichever piece needs support or additional teamwork. Now this is the teamwork which we shall see now. Now the king comes forward to help the queen to checkmate. Look at the white king. It's coming from all the way while black keeps on waiting. Black has no other move left. The king has to go here, and now white can move his queen here, supported by the king. Till now we could not move the king here because the queen would be captured. Now first we move close, and then with the help of the king we play check. And now since the king can't go anywhere and it's check, it's a checkmate. In short, from this position to win is, there are three stages you have to remember. The first is we drag the king to the corner. Secondly, we have to be careful not to stalemate the king. And the third is we need to bring our own king near the opponent king to checkmate the opponent king. Okay, so practice these positions many times so that you become fluent, and after you capture your opponent's queen, try to bring these type of positions from where you can checkmate your opponent without any risk or resistance. It's very easy. You should know how to execute it. Now, before we end the class, I'll be giving you 10 positions to solve. Okay, these are easy positions, and all these positions involve checkmate with a queen. So let's begin the exercises. Try to solve by yourself and then match with the solution. Okay, the first position is this one. Here it is white to play and checkmate in one move. It seems black is having the advantage because black is having an extra pawn. But with white to move, he plays queen c8 check. Now the king cannot escape because his own pawn is blocking the escape route. Just now I said a queen cannot win on its own. It needs help and support. But how does it checkmate on its own here? Well, the point is, the reason is the queen is being helped by the enemy pawn. Okay, this is restricting the own king. So now it's like collaborating with the opponent queen. The pawn and queen are collaborating to checkmate the king. So this is how white wins. Now let's move to the next example. Here black is 2 pawns up, but still white wins by playing queen a8 check. Queen a8 check. Now the king cannot move anywhere and the 2 escape squares are blocked by his own pawns. Okay, so what matters is not how much material one has, but what situation on the chessboard has arisen. For example, it seems black is winning, but actually it's white to move and the king is trapped. Okay, now in this position, it's a funny position where black is 3 pawns up, but white can play queen e7 check, and all black's chessmen, this, they are blocking king's escape. And king cannot stay here because of queen check. It can't go behind. Black is checkmated. Now, what about this position? Can white win? No. The reason is, compared to the previous one, we have just interchanged the position of pawn and queen. And in this position, if white checks, this queen will come back and defend. So there is no win. It's a draw. Move to the next one. Here white can checkmate black by 2 different ways. Can you spot both of them? Yeah, the first method is simply moving to e7 supported by the king. It's a check and the king can't go anywhere, checkmate. And the second one is moving queen g8 check. The king can't come up because of the white king, and it can't go here and here or even here because of the queen. So it's a checkmate. Okay, now this position again, white has 2 different ways to checkmate black. Here white's king is quite far, but the pawn and king collaborate to checkmate. White can either play this check and the king can't move up because of the pawn, or supported by the pawn the queen can stand here, check and checkmate. In this position, it is white to play and mate in one. This time it is not the queen, but rather the pawn which will advance to h6, and the king has no square to escape thanks to the queen and thanks to the pawns. It can't capture this because of this pawn, it can't move here because of the pawn, and it can't move up or this way because of its own pawn. So queen supported by our own pawns and also opponent pawns, everybody collaborate to checkmate the king. Okay, in this position it is white to play. White is a pawn up. Can you find a way to checkmate? Yes, queen e6 check, and although the king has 8 different squares to escape, it's in the center of the board, but all the squares are covered by white's chessmen. Okay, white checkmates black in one move. In this position, white has three different ways to checkmate black. Can you spot all of them? Okay, the first one is very similar to the previous position. It is queen e6. We have already seen, even without this pawn, it's a checkmate. So this is a checkmate again. The second is, we can play queen e5. This is also checkmate. And the third, now the queen is supported by the pawn. King can't go anywhere. And the third move is queen f3, is also a checkmate. The queen is supported by the king this time. And the king cannot go anywhere because either the queen or this pawn or this king is supporting or controlling all the squares. So these were some of the examples how you can checkmate your opponent with a queen. I hope the next time you capture your opponent's queen, you should aim for these type of positions where you can win with the help of your queen. Thanks for watching. Meet you in the next video.